Alright, this is IMAX Nation 1980 here, with my record collection again. Now, moving on to the Rolling Stones, who also have their own section in my collection. Like the Beatles and the Beach Boys, they have their own section because I have a lot of albums by them. And they've been going for many years and still going. Starting off, a terrible condition copy of Out of Our Heads, and it's actually in mono. And unfortunately, the record's pretty scratched up too. There's writing on it. It's too bad, but it's better than nothing. I'd hold on to it until I get a better condition copy. Here I've got two copies of Big Hits, High Tide, and Green Grass. This copy's in good condition. The other copy, not so much. Of course, the track listing is a bit different from the UK version. Has a nice little booklet inside. And this bad condition copy also has the booklet. It's not an abysmal condition, but it's not very good either. Here we got a mono copy of Aftermath. Of course, the track listing is different. It's in good condition despite the ring wear. And here's another copy of Aftermath. This is actually a Canadian copy, and it's in stereo. It's got a protective sleeve on it, too. Between the Buttons, this is a mono copy, but it's in pretty shoddy condition. The cover's not in bad condition. It's the actual record that is. It's kind of scratched. Yeah, it's got a lot of scratches on it. How unfortunate. It's better than nothing, though. Beggar's Banquet. Now, this is in really good condition. It's got a lot of classic Rolling Stones songs on here. A lot of bluesy, country-like numbers, too. And here's Through the Past, Darkly, Big Hits, Volume 2. This is the Octagon cover. Great condition. It's a really good compilation, too. It's got all sorts of songs on here. It's got hits like Painted Black, and it also has like album cuts, like 2,000 Light Years From Home. That was from their Satanic Majesty's request, which I hope to get very soon in my collection. That and Let It Bleed. And here's Get Your Ya-Ya's Out. Rolling Stones in Concert, a phenomenal live album. Got another copy of that. Yep. Hot Rocks. This is a very early first pressing with an error on it. Brown Sugar, towards the end of the album, an alternate take of it is on here. And supposedly Eric Clapton is playing guitar on that alternate take. You know, when I was first listening to it, I was expecting, the regular version of Brown Sugar, and I was like wondering, why does this sound so different? This doesn't sound like the actual song. Maybe something's wrong with my record player and speakers. And all seemed all right because all the other songs played fine. And then I did a little research online, and it turns out that this was a very early pressing. And I heard they're worth quite a lot, like as high as $1,000 maybe. You want to know how much I got? This has the banner, the sticker on the top. My other copies don't have that. Here we got another copy of it. Same old thing. Here's more Hot Rocks. I like this album because it's got hits, but it also has some deeper cuts on here. 2,000 Light Years From Home, Child of the Moon. Some of these are like B-sides. Lady Jane's on here, which is also a really good song. And some of the early Rolling Stones songs that were on some of the extended play records from the earlier days of the Stones. And if I recall correctly, one of the tracks on here was the first time I think it was I Can't Be Satisfied. I could be wrong, though. It was like the first time it was released in the States. Some Girls. Now, this is a Canadian copy. And it also has all the celebrity faces intact. Of course, there was a lawsuit filed over some of the celebrity faces, and they had to be removed. And there's so many different variations of the album, the colors. As you can see, that one is much different from this one. And this one also has the celebrity faces edited out. Much later pressings of the album just had a bunch of faces drawn on there instead of photographs. And it didn't have the die cut cover either, which I thought was a pretty cool idea. Seems that the Rolling Stones album covers, they have fun with them. Like their Satanic Majesty's Request has the 3D cover, and Sticky Fingers has the zipper, and this has the die cut with the faces, and Undercover has the stickers that you can remove. And here's a different variation of the colors, and this is of course the cover under construction version. Did I show the back of this album? I don't think I did. It's about the same as the others. I'll check right now. Yeah, it's the same. Here's Emotional Rescue, which was a bit of a follow-up to Some Girls, and some critics thought they were kind of... It was like a rehash of Some Girls. It's a decent album, though. I like She's So Cold. I think that's a classic. That was the big hit from the album. That and the title track. Here we got Tattoo You. Most of the songs on here are actually outtakes. Kind of like what Coda was to Led Zeppelin. That was an outtakes collection, and so it's Tattoo You. Some of my favorites on here are Slave, Black Limousine, and of course Start Me Up's a classic, and Little TNA, and Neighbors. Those are all good songs. The whole album's good. Alright, so that was my Rolling Stones collection so far. I plan to get a lot more Rolling Stones records soon. This is IMAX Nation 1980, signing off. I'm showing Led Zeppelin, and they have their own section in my record collection. This is actually the last band that gets their own section in my record collection. And I have every core Led Zeppelin album on vinyl except Houses of the Holy, which I, for some odd reason, don't have, but I will be getting it sometime soon. Here's the first album. It's got some of the Shrink wrap on it. What a debut album this is. It's a phenomenal start. I like how many more times is listed as 3.5 minutes on the back when the song is actually over 8 minutes. A lot of classic Led Zeppelin songs on here. You know, aside from Communication Breakdown and Dazed and Confused, you have other great songs like Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, and I love How Many More Times. It's just a great album all around. It's a really strong debut record. And we got Led Zeppelin 2, an even stronger follow-up. The Brown Bomber. It's one of the nicknames for this album. A lot of great songs on here. Here's another copy of it. I have a lot of carbon copies of Led Zeppelin albums. Here you got Led Zeppelin 3. I think Led Zeppelin 1 and 2 are better, but I still like Led Zeppelin 3. Still like it quite a lot. And this is actually a copy that still has the spinning thing in it. I forget the name of it. It's got a fancy name, and it's got this thing that keeps it there. My other copy, sadly, doesn't have the thing that holds it in. So you could just slip it right out. And of course, yeah, it's got the same cover on the back. Alright, Led Zeppelin 4, or whatever you want to call it. Zoso, Runes, Untitled, 4th album, 4, whatever you'd like to call it. It's a phenomenal album. Of course, it has the Led Zeppelin song everybody knows, Stairway to Heaven, but it also has other classics, Misty Mountain Hop, and Going to California, Four Sticks. And of course, Black Dog is a classic as well, rock and roll. Battle of Evermore is actually a pretty good song, too. Seems that they tried some different styles of music. on each of their albums. Stairway to Heaven, of course. You got the big epic artwork on the gatefold. Thought I'd show it. And of course, like I said, I don't have Houses of the Holy, but I really want it. It's too bad. It's like, it's so odd. I have all the other Zeppelin albums, but I don't have Houses of the Holy. And we got Physical Graffiti, which is arguably the greatest Led Zeppelin album, or one of the greatest. Nice cover too, with the die-cut windows, and you can take the sleeves out. And a lot of classics on this album too. Some of my favorites include Trampled Underfoot, Down by the Seaside, and several others. There's so many tracks on there. And Houses of the Holy appears on this album rather than the album before it, Houses of the Holy. In My Time of Dying is a very epic song. Probably one of my favorite songs they ever did. I love a lot of long songs by Led Zeppelin. That's one of my favorites. It's an epic, epic song. And then we got Presence. The song remains the same. Now, this is a live album / soundtrack. I have not seen the film. I plan on getting it on Blu-ray pretty soon. It should look stunning in HD. Got the gatefold there. Very rarely do I show the gatefolds anymore. Got the booklet here. Here we got In Through the Outdoor, and there's so many different covers for this album, and this is one of the variations. And it's a good album. It's their last album, and it's good. You know, it's got Full in the Rain, and it's got some other good ones on there. I also like some of the other tracks on there, like Hot Dog. It's kind of like a guilty pleasure. I've heard like some people call it the worst Led Zeppelin song ever, that and The Crunge. But I like Hot Dog, and I also like All My Love and I'm Gonna Crawl. Those are great songs. And here we got Coda, which was kind of a project cobbled together after John Bonham's death. And it's got some good songs on here, like Darlene, and I also like Bonzo's Montreux. I like his drum solos, especially Moby Dick, and I like Bonzo's Montreux as well. Actually, on a Led Zeppelin box set, I don't know if it was the first box set or the second one, they combined Moby Dick and Bonzo's Montreux as one track. It's pretty interesting. So yeah, that was all my Led Zeppelin albums. This is IMAX Nation 1980, signing off.